Hey everybody, and welcome back to the final day of this series of the XD Daily Creative Challenge. I'm your host, Jesse Showalter. It's Friday of week 2, final day of this particular challenge. It makes me so sad. It's been a lot of fun, but the good news is I might possibly be back soon. So I'll be hanging out with you guys, and there's lots of people hanging out in the live chat right now. We got Aiken, we got Julia Clayton, the homegirl of homegirls, always there supporting. Jack Watson, we got Rosie Way, we got Jui K, we got Ryan Chase, last day, so sad. Cornelian Block saying greetings inside the chat. If you're not in the chat, jump in there. If you're watching this on YouTube, come on over to Behance, sign in so you can participate in the chat. That's right, this is the XD Daily Creative Challenge, and we've been doing a UI and UX crash course. During the first week, we covered things like typography and color and alignment and all sorts of those UI basics, the foundational principles. So that was a lot of fun. And then this last week, we've been doing the basics of UX design, things like consistency and context. And today we're going to talk about user feedback. Not only feedback in the design, but feedback once you're done with your design, handing your prototype off, handing off your prototype, pardon me, and then receiving that feedback and making those changes. So everybody inside the chat right now, do me a favor, put your favorite emoji. I just want to see your I just want to see the chat filled with emojis right now. That's what I want to see. While you're doing that, let's jump over and take a look at the Daily Creative Challenge in about 45 seconds. Each day, you receive the challenge. Down below, you can see each of them unlocked. Today, it's about sharing because sharing is caring, and that's where you get your starting file. You're going to join the community chat, not only the live chat, but you're going to jump over to the Adobe XD Discord that has over 35,000 creatives. It's where you get encouragement, inspiration, feedback, critique, all the fun stuff. You can find a link to the Discord in the chat somewhere or over in the info tab. Next, third piece, you want to watch the Daily Show, you're already doing that, and there's lots of amazing emojis. We got a poop emoji, clown emoji, confused emoji, devil emoji. Is that money or is that sickness? I can't tell. Everybody be washing your hands, side note. This is a good thing this is all happening live stream so you can stay in your home safe, wash your hands, buy lots of toilet paper. Okay. Moving on. So you're going to watch the Daily Show. And lastly, you're going to share your work on Behance using the hashtag XDDailyChallenge so we can find that on Behance. Speaking of work, let's just really quickly look at one or two pieces of work that have been posted inside of our Discord. Yesterday, our challenge was to create a movie reservation or booking application kind of thing. And so we have some awesome, let's see, Jason Carlos RT has posted some work up here. Let's take a look at that. I like how each of the individual things are actual seats and not just little dots like I made them. It's really hard to use red in such large swaths, but I think he or she did a really good job here. Here's the movie ticket section. I'm always a big fan of dimensionality. Here's our little movie posters popping out. I should have done that yesterday too, represented the movie posters, actual movie poster kind of like portrait style, and then zipping into the thing. The only thing I would say is I'd like to see this expand and be full screen. I feel like it looks like an app inside of an app, so we want to maybe think about that. But really, I love all the information, the content, using some repeat grid, probably some really fun animation going back and forth between those two screens. And so we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm just going to glance maybe at one more. Here's a little prototype. Can we get some full screen action? Look at this little prototype action. Select the seats, things moving in from the sides. Let's see, we select a seat, we get some stuff from the bottom. Ooh, this is a spicy animation. If any animation was worthy of the term spicy, that one is right there. Loved it. And that was submitted by Roshit Shrestha. I think I got that name a little bit better than I've got it the last few days. Everyone's posting amazing emojis in the chat. And while we're chatting and having fun, let's kick over to my XD starting file. Again, the challenge today is to design and prototype a login flow for a social network app. So just some sort of social network app. We just want to work on a little login flow interaction. Login flows are important in the world of UX. It's a great way to practice basic user experience design kind of flows. What's easy? What does the user need? What information do we offer them? We're going to work on that today. And we're going to be using some of XD's share settings to get a little bit of user feedback. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to focus on receiving quality feedback both in the design and from the design. That's gonna be cool. You got some inspiration, some resources, and your links that you need down below. Over to the right, I got a couple of artboards. They are blank. Let's get started. All right, so everyone's pretty pumped. We got all that stuff out of the way. It is, how much time do we have right now? Ooh, we're making good time so far. We got about 20 minutes to get some stuff done. Let's just start. Let's just get going. First thing I will say is I did a little bit of Illustrator work beforehand. I didn't do the work, but I went over to, because I like when people make rad stuff for me. I went over to Adobe Stock and I snagged a little bit of something that we're gonna work with. Also, I wanna point out that the XD features, the new updates for March, they should be up and running. So we got anchor links, audio playback, shortcuts for resizing text. As far as I can tell, all those things are working, so we're gonna be checking those out today as well. And this is the last thing I wanted to say. I don't use this a whole lot, but I've just started using it in the last few days. Absolutely love it. Have you ever been to creativecloud.adobe.com to check out your profile and see all your stuff? You can see your apps and learn stuff, and you can go to your work, which we're going to talk about today as well. So just keep that in mind. I went and opened up this piece of Illustrator work that I found on Adobe Stock, and then I pulled out some assets from it and just created in Illustrator small snippets of that main piece. All right, I just thought maybe these would be fun to use. They're just interesting little tidbits of design work, and so we're going to try to integrate those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Creative Cloud. I'm going to go over to my work, and I have a little, where was it? Login library here, and you can see all the pieces of that library. So let's go ahead and first things first, let's drag one of those pieces in. Maybe we can drag it in over here. Maybe we can, maybe we cannot. I'm having a little bit of trouble. That's all right. Let's see if we can drag. Should be able to drag. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what, let's do it the easier way. I don't know why I'm tripping. It's because it's Friday and all I can think about is the weekend. I'm going to press Command or Control Shift L to bring up my libraries. I'm going to head over to Login, and there's my pieces of work. I'm going to drag one in. I'm just going to drop it on the canvas, and it appears. Let's hide that library so we don't need it in our face anymore, and that's just going to take a second to load up. There it is. It's massive. It's awesome. It's really pretty too. I don't know. I have to find the link and talk about this later because this is really pretty, just Illustrator work. Like the colors, like everything, because the colors are, I mean, we were doing a little bit of a design crash course. I figured we would have some fun. All right, so let's place it in there. And let's just move that over to the side, just hints of it. We're going to do kind of our splash screen right here. All right. So we got, again, so many good emojis. We got dancing ladies. We got people with their arms raised doing like all sorts of fun stuff. I'm loving the emoji playfulness in the chat. Let's go ahead and bring up some text. Let's test out one of the new March updates. I'm just going to draw a big old test box, and I'm going to, what do we call this? Let's make it a design social media app. I don't know why. Vector. Let's do a few R's at the end. That's what the trendy folks do. So one of our updates is supposed to be, click on the bottom tab, double click on it to make our area text jump to fit the actual text. So double click, boom, and it happens. That's nice. That just speeds it up. I like that a lot. Okay, so we could do that, or we could turn it into point text, which I'm gonna do. I just wanted to try that one out. But that's really nice, right? So like we could, for instance, go to our plugins. Let's first take this down from bold to like a medium. And let's go back to area text. Let's drag out some area text like this. And we're gonna go to the plugins. Why don't we get our content generator? Just give me a paragraph, would you? Beautiful, love it. So we're just gonna form a paragraph there. It's still a little bit big. Let's go down to 18. We'll take all of this, delete the stuff we don't need, right? And then we're just gonna double click and make sure it fits. That's nice. So I can resize things, double click, and it's constantly just gonna resize everything for me. All right, that's looking pretty good. All right, so we got a little kind of asymmetrical thing happening. I kind of like that. We're gonna call this little thing, actually, let's bring a little bit of color to this bad boy. Let's pull one of these, I don't know, maybe this purpley color. I like that. And we'll use that purpley color. Why don't we just open up that and let's take that color and save it because I'm digging that. Okay. If you've noticed, ooh, I just saw something, right? I was playing with earlier. In my components panel, we get a new tab, the audio tab. What are we gonna do with it? I don't know, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool. Let's do a button, just a nice simple button. And let's use our color here, take that off. Should we keep it square? Yeah, let's keep it square. And then let's just take our text. Let's paste another version of our text. We're just making a button right now. Make it white, shrink it down a little bit, right? And let's just do a generic get started message inside of this button, okay? All right, so far so good. We're taking these, let's group it together. Let's just shrink it down a little bit more. I like buttons. I'm really like a big stickler for buttons having the right kind of space and padding inside of them, right? Okay, we might as well just take this as well and press Command or Control K and make a component out of it that we will name button. We might need that, right? Okay, so now we can take this, the headline and this subtext and just put, let's just call it text, and let's call it text 1 because we're gonna focus on a little bit of prototyping here in a second, right? I'll tell you what, let's do the easy. This is what I like to do. This is the easy jam for me, is I have an artboard. I'm just gonna duplicate the artboard, okay? Let's rename this 1, let's rename this 2, so we have things looking good. And what we wanna do on artboard 2, we're gonna create a little auto animate action, is I want to bring this over to fill the space. I wanna bring text 1 out. Now you have to be careful when you do this, just rule of thumb, give some space in between your artboards. So that way when I drag elements out and off, right like that, I can do it without it running into the next artboard, and then because then artboard 1's gonna grab it and go, do you belong to me? And I go, no, it doesn't belong to you. It still belongs to art, that one right there. Okay, so what we wanna do is the same thing. Let's just drag this thing out, put it right on the edge. And this can be tricky, you know, because we're dragging things out off the artboard, but we just want to just stay in there. Okay. And good. Let's just take the opacity of it down as it drifts off to the edge. All right, now we got this fun thing. How do we continue this onboarding flow or this login flow that we have going here? I think, I kind of hit my microphone. Sorry about that. Let's bring the card style back with that rounded top. Let's go just round the tops and let's do 10 and 10 in the top left and right. Let's do the border off and let's add a little shadow there with a negative x-axis, and let's just increase the blur and let's take down the opacity just a little bit so it's not so intense. So we're gonna move over and let's call this our card. Okay, what else is gonna go on this card? I think what needs to go on the card is probably some more text. So let's just take our text 1, copy it or duplicate it over. We're gonna call this text 2 though, and we're gonna make sure that it has everything inside that we need. So probably like a smaller kind of like message inside. Let's go post work, right? This is a design kind of like platform. So let's do post work. And does this card need to be so big? I don't know. Are we doing a login? Are we doing? Yeah, we're doing a login, aren't we? Okay, so we got to fix this. Let's do login. Ah, that's better. That's making more sense to me now. So let's make sure that our button over here, man, I messed that up. Let's bring the opacity to it back up. Let's just make sure we're center aligned text on it and login. Okay, and then what we're gonna need to do, you always, for a good user experience, right, you need to offer the primary kind of pathway or user flow, and you always want to offer a secondary flow for other types of users. So let's grab our text here, and this, what I mean by that is you want people to log in if they're like not a member, like we say not a member, sign up. So we're offering the different kind of flow. That's an interesting little one. Let's double click on the text input. Ooh, that makes it nice. Let's just tone it down there, center align the text, and just vertically align everything like this. Not a member, sign up, okay? Maybe a little more opacity, maybe down to 40, or let's do 60. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we want to make sure that piece is over here as well. Boom, and we're gonna shove it out to the side. Let's take the opacity all the way down. Let's say they clicked login. Okay, so we're going to call this the login piece. We actually don't need any text for it. Let's just bring this up to the top. That's looking pretty good. And then let's do some basic login fields, right? That's what we need. We are going to create a component though, so we can reuse our login fields because they're going to be similar, right? Oh, I'm always trying to think this way. I'm going to draw a rectangle just like this. I'm going to take the border off. I'm going to keep the fill on, and I'm going to do maybe a border, but I don't want the border. Maybe we won't do that. Okay. Just making sure we're grabbing the right things here. Let's just do a line. How about that? We'll hit L for line. Let's just drag a line across. What's the distance between it and the edge here? 30, should be 30. Great. Anybody notice I drew my line a little bit crooked? Aha! Boy, that could have been bad. Let's drag that down. Let's bring the opacity of it down a little bit. Let's drag some more text down and just say name. Obviously, we don't want it to be that big though, right? We don't want it to be that big. So let's just do that. Shrinking this guy up to make our text input field. Let's take it off of bold, go back down to medium, and should we keep it blue like that? Let's keep it blue, just like that. Now here's what I like to do to make sure that everything is lining up. This is how I do input fields. I'm gonna draw a rectangle like so, take the border off of it, make sure it's behind everything. That way I know what I need to do really quick is, I need to make, just for a second, I need to lock this abstract background so I stop touching it. That's what I need to do. There we go. Now I can grab my input field. Now I'm gonna horizontally kind of align things so that I always know that those things are lined up. We have our rectangle, we have our line, our bottom line, and we have our text field. I'm gonna grab all of those. I'm gonna call this input, and then I'm gonna make a component out of it by pressing Command or Control K. Now I can reuse that same component, right? I could either drag another one out, or I could just drag one out from the side. I could have pulled one down right there. Let's do email, and let's do password, something like that. Now, we got to think of states here. This is a big part of the kind of like UX design flow, which is everything you're thinking about is in states, right? Let's draw out drag out another version of our button, okay? But as a state, this thing is not active, right? So let's pick like an inactive looking state. Now, what we could do, if we don't want to do that, is let's drag out our button. But before we do that, let's go back to our master button. Let's make a new component state out of it, shall we? A new state which is inactive. So now we're not using multiple different things. We want to go to the color and just desaturate like that. So now we have a default and we have an inactive. Now I can come over here and just put it to our inactive state. The same component, folks. Look at that. I'm loving it, all right? Let's just do one more, and then we're gonna get to our sharing and our feedback process right now. Let's do actually two quick ones. Okay, so let's do name. I'm gonna put my name. Who is in the chat? Let's go Julia Clayton. That's not how you spell Clayton. Sorry, Julia. Julia Clayton. Let's do J Clayton at awesome.com because she's awesome. Okay. And then let's put a password of, I always forget how to, anybody remember how to do the little dots? I always forget how to do the little dots. So instead of doing that, I'm just gonna take the opacity of that down. I'm gonna hit E for ellipse. I'm just gonna bring some dots in like that. And I'm gonna make sure we use our blue color for our dots. Let's make them a little bit bigger. Good, so far so good. Let's take our dots and just line them up there, boom. And you know what, let's be smart and just repeat grid. Just do a bunch of password dots like that, okay? So now the user has inputted their information. This should now actually be active, shouldn't it? Our button, it should be, hey, you're ready to get going, but we need an error state. Oh, somebody said Alt-8 or Option 8 to do those interpunct or center dots, I believe is what they're called. Let's do one more version of this. Let's do an error version of this, okay? Because that's always important when we're doing UX. We want to think about all of those different states, okay? So let's do an error like this has been good, but maybe the password is incorrect, all right? So let's take our line. Let's find a red color from our design. Why don't we do that? Why don't we fill that line with that red? Woo, no, border, sorry. We're getting that border color to be this red or maybe this orange. I'm down with that. Anybody feel good about that orange? Nah, that's not bright enough. We definitely need the red. Sometimes I try to stay away from reds because I'm like, is that too much? But you know, sometimes it's not too much. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got to throw that error state red in there. All right, let's do the same thing here. Let's grab, if we could, let's find, where did our line go? Let's go back to our components. Let's save that color. Okay, let's go back to our layers here, our repeat grid. We would really like our repeat grid dots to be that color. So now we have an error state, okay? And even if you want to do that little bit of extra, let's just take that little bit of extra time. Let's put some text right here. We're going to shrink it down really small, maybe 13. Let's go book italic, and let's use that same color. And we'll just say a little error state, like status, like this password is incorrect. When you're designing like applications especially, it's on us as the designers to think of all the possible error states in these flows, okay? So just keep all those things in mind like as you are designing, okay? So what do we need to do here? Well, we have our name, our login, all of this stuff, our login button. Let's just do one prototyping because we're running out of time here. I want to bring those over into our first screen. I want to bring that over, but I think, you know what I'm going to do before I do that? I'm going to group all of them together over here. I think 2, 3, 4, and the button, group them together, go to my panel there, my layers, and just say, let's call it the form. Okay. I'm going to take my form, then I'm going to bring my form back over here, just like that. I want to manipulate my form first though. Here's what I mean. I want to start getting some spacing so that when my animation happens, things come in at a different time. Now I'm going to take that form and move it off to the side like this, bring the opacity down. Let's see what happens when I do a little prototyping. Really quick auto animate stuff. Watch this. We're gonna have some fun right now. Let's do a drag trigger and we'll auto animate, okay? Destination to number 2. And then let's also try a tap trigger on the button. We want to have that going as well. A tap trigger there, auto animate, ready for some new fun stuff before we get going for the day. Auto animating to number 2. Let's do a little bit of ease in, ease out. Let's make it like 0.6 seconds. Let's add an action, a little audio playback, a pop sound that I literally just have sitting over here on my desktop, and I loaded up earlier. It's now in my component panel. Remember we saw that? Well, let's just try a little pop sound and see what happens. I might have to turn the volume up to my computer. Let's try. Ready? Oh, there was a pop, and it's a really loud pop, and there's no volume control yet inside of the audio playback stuff, but it's kind of fun. Can we just try it one more time? I really like it. Okay, I'm gonna bring the volume on my computer back down. But what we also saw in the transition was our form fields came in a little bit differently. All right, we are almost there. So let's just say we have a start to our prototype. I'm gonna head over to share, and I wanna get some feedback from users on this. So first thing I wanna do is I wanna call this login flow in the title of it, and I'm gonna do design review, or maybe I can do custom even. I want to allow comments and open the whole thing up in full screen. I don't need a password. I just want to create this link, and Adobe XD is going to go ahead and make that for me. I got about 30 seconds left. Let's see if we can get this in before I get out of here. Man, I like to always run late on this, don't I? Really quickly, really fast. Here we go. The link's coming right now, and then we got to get on out of here. All right, our link is there. We click on it. It's going to open up inside of our browser. You could also go to that creativecloud.adobe.com and head over to your work if you wanted to see it there. But As we open up our login flow, let's see if we can do it. Sure can. Our user can hit it and see the animation. And if they press escape, they're able to pin things and comment and say, I like this, and then submit it. And then we'll be able to have that user feedback there that we can constantly work off of. That's it. That's the whole deal. We got to get out of here. It's the last day of the challenge. So make sure you're using consistency and good typography and all those fun UI and UX principles. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the XD Daily Creative Challenge. I've been your host that's very long-winded, likes to run right till the end, Jesse Showalter. There's more good stuff like up for the rest of the day on Behance. So stick around, get a glass of water, use the restroom. We'll be right back, and I'll see you guys next time.